Well, howdy folks, how's it going today? I hope you're all doing really good. Well, we have a hand-built guitar on the bench here today. This belongs to one of the viewers on the channel. He actually dropped off 5 guitars for me to do some work on them for him. This is an Aronson, dedicated to Don Clark there. Very cool. This was designed by the owner, and he had somebody build it for him. It's got Lindy Fralin P90 style pickups. It's a string through body. Very cool guitar. Very, very nice weight. This is ash. It's got some finish checking on it too. It's just starting to do its thing. Some really neat artwork that was actually done by the owner's ancestors. The guy that built it actually put that under the clear coat and did not know that it was the owner's ancestors that actually designed that. So that was really, really cool to find that out. Looks like a couple little touch-ups of white paint there. A little more checking, like I said, but a cool guitar all the way around. Now, the problem is the owner told me that the intonation was off, so he actually took the bridge and had to move it ahead a little bit. Now, when that happened, the string through holes here do not line up where the strings, come through the bridge. So I'm going to look into that and see what I can do to maybe remedy that little issue. Maybe we can elongate them holes or something, just so you can get the strings through, and hopefully we can hide some of that under the saddles. I'm not really sure yet until we get in there, so that was just kind of a first thought that I had. So let's check the intonation out. First of all, I want to do that. I'm going to measure the scale length too, and I'd like to talk about scale length just for a minute with you guys, if that's cool. So let's get to it. Alrighty, so I got a aluminum yardstick here. I left the plastic right on it. It's brand new. I'm just going to designate it for this stuff, so it won't scratch anybody's instruments or anything like that. These are cheap too. So it looks to be close to 25.5 here. Now most Fender scales are 25.5. Like a Gibson Les Paul would be 24 3/4. I'm talking inches here, okay? For you people that use the metric system. So that's really the most common scale lengths here that most of us deal with. So what you do is measure right from the nut, right to basically the break points on where your strings are going to be, okay? Or where your saddle is if you have a Gibson with the adjustable bridge, you would measure right to the saddles, okay? Now, it looks to me like it's pretty close. Now, at first glance, I can see that the saddles are moved out this way. And if it's intonated and it will stay there, then there's no reason to really do anything as far as moving the bridge or repositioning. So I think the best thing to do is check the intonation now, and we'll kind of go from there. So here's a little I don't know, tip, or maybe just some helpful info on scale length. Now, a long scale length like this versus like a Gibson Les Paul, they play a little stiffer. A shorter scale length plays a lot easier as far as bending notes, and you can even like squeeze chords out of tune and that kind of thing if you play with a heavy hand. You can feel the difference, and it does affect string gauge as well, or it can at least. Now, I play 9 through 42, 9 through 46 in general, but I have some short scale guitars that I will play 10s on, just so it feels good. 9s are too light, and it just feels like you're playing nylon strings or something. It just doesn't feel right, so I will put 10s on. So it's, you know, guitar to guitar, scale length to scale length. That's kind of how that goes. So you can also tune a longer scale down. Say you want to tune down to a C or something. A longer scale length is going to handle that better than a shorter one, okay? And them are just some quick little brief thoughts about it, so hopefully that will answer a few questions for you people that don't really know how that works. Alright, let's see what the intonation's like. Okay, so we're plugged into the Peterson Strobo tune. You know, if you're going to intonate your instruments, make sure that you have a high quality tuner. It's just, it takes the guesswork out, that's for sure. Okay, so let's see what we got. Now, if you've never used a strobe tuner, they'll move. If it moves in this direction and keeps spinning, then it's sharp. If it rotates the other way, then it's flat. The speed determines how close you are. And this one even tells you cents on the side, this little number, but okay, so that's pretty handy. Let's check it at the 12th fret. Well, it's not terrible. It's saying like 3 cents. So let's check the A. Pretty close. Pretty close. D. It's a little flat. We'll tighten her up a little. And you just want to try to get that to stop moving. Okay, so it's sharp, maybe 4 cents. It's not unplayable by any means. I've seen them worse than that. And okay, let's check it at the 12th. Again, about 4 cents. That's not terrible. I mean, obviously you're looking for as close as you can get, but see, that's still a little sharp, so 3 cents. Let's check it harmonically. That's pretty close to, I mean, so that tells me that the intonation, I'm going to check the E just because, okay. I mean, that's pretty good. Okay, so that tells me that the intonation is really not bad. And the bridge placement is probably okay. Now you can see these saddles are this way quite a bit. Now, there's still space to go if needed, but I think it's okay. And you can also put long screws in there too. I've seen that done as well. So now what we're going to do is take the strings off, and I'm going to pull a couple saddles out, and I just want to actually just see, or maybe even just one, or flip it over and see what that alignment is with the string ferrule in the back, you know, where the strings go through the body. So that's going to be our next step. So that is a good thing that it is intonated and playable. So the rest of it might be just, like I said, getting that alignment right so you can change your strings easy again and it's not pinching and binding in there, okay? Alright, so let's get the strings off. Okay. Got some nice kind of vintage style tuners on here too. All gold hardware on this guitar. Looks really nice with the cream colored and the P90s in it as well. Gold doesn't do it for me on every guitar, but there are some colors that it really does look nice on. And of course, we all know over time it always fades out and kind of rubs off, but that's just what it is. Okay, let's get them out of there. Okay. Okay, so I don't have any new strings to put back on this right now. I'm all out of 10s. The owner likes Ernie Ball Slinkies. I just ordered some. Now I'm just checking right now to see if these feel like they're pinched or there's any impingement going on in between the string through ferrules and what's going on here at the saddle. They're all moving. Doesn't seem to be anything really hanging it up too bad. So we're going to have to dig a little deeper. Okay, so I got the E string here. I'm just checking this and see what's going on with the alignment now. I forced it up through from the back too, and it did kind of bump into the bottom of the bridge plate here. There's not a ton of clearance here, but you know, that's a straight string, and I am able to get it down through there. But it is pretty close quarters in there. And it probably is a little tricky, you know, stringing this up. So I think the next move here is I'm going to pull this bridge off and see what's going on underneath. And then I'm going to start taking some measurements with my calipers and a few rules here just to see what's going on and see how far those holes are out of line. So that's the next step, folks. All right, here we go. Sometimes you just got to keep digging until you find out what's going on. You know, like I said, we're lucky that the intonation seems to be pretty good right now. I also want to look under here and see if there's, my apologies, folks. I'm firing the camera crew as soon as this is done. Yeah. Okay, all joking aside, filming this stuff is almost impossible some days. I don't know why. Other days it goes off without a hitch, but today's not one of them. I'm sure it would be nice to have somebody doing this that knew how to, you know, shoot proper videos and different camera angles. And I do my best, folks. I try to keep my hands out of the way so you can see what's going on, and I try to shoot everything in real time. Usually if I pause the camera, it's just to change camera angles so you guys don't get sick of looking at the same thing all the time. Okay, I think those screws went at least under the frost line. Them are big, deep ones. Okay, we're almost there. I believe there's probably one more there too. We'll have to get that one. Okay, well, we get all the screws out. Okay, so nothing's been slotted on the bridge plate. I'm going to set that off to the side. Now you can see that these have been slotted. And I can see some multiple screws here, okay, that where it's, you know, I get it. Sometimes you have to try it in a few different positions. Now what I'm going to do actually is measure off these front screw holes, which I'll use this as a reference as well. You can almost kind of see it right here. Probably the best thing would be to make a small mark here in line with this hole, or, you know, just take the measurement from the screw hole to the center of that, and then I can determine what needs to be done here. Now I can see these have already been elongated. I may elongate these a little bit if it comes to it. I think that would be the cleanest way to do it. You're never going to see it, you know, unless you take the saddles off. So the other thing I am going to do while I'm here is I'm going to fill in the holes that, you know, don't belong. These little screw holes, just because they're in close proximity to each other, you know, there's not a lot of holding power between the screw holes, so we'll just put some toothpicks in there and flush them off. And again, it's all covered, but we just want the structural integrity to be there, and we don't want those kind of breaking out and the bridge to start lifting or anything like that. Obviously, it's held there for a long time, but, you know, I can see some cracking and checking around here. So once air and moisture gets introduced back in there, it can happen. So it's a very simple fix, and it's just definitely worth doing. So I'm going to take a few more measurements here and find out what's going to need to be done. And after that, I'm going to also run the fret rocker across the frets and polish these up. They're really sticky feeling and dry. So we'll address this first. We'll kind of do this as we go along too. And hopefully this will work out pretty well. Okay, folks, so we got the bridge here. Be orientated like that. So I'm going to measure off this front screw hole, which is right here. I'm going to measure back and see where this hole lines up. So what I'm going to do is take this little slide rule here, and I'm going to line that up in the center of this hole and the center of this hole. Okay? That's pretty close right there. It's handy. At least give us some sort of a reference here. So, if I center that on that hole, as you can see, it's pretty much centered. Now, the only other thing is this. These holes have been elongated, so it does line up in the center of that. Now, when I take this string and put it down in the hole and push it towards the front of the string ferrule hole, it's right to the front of the ferrule on the back where your strings go through. So it is a little snug there. I think this did help, but I think what we need to do is maybe just file these out towards the neck a little bit, and I think that may help things line up. I mean, these are not structural by any means. That's just allowing the string to come up through the saddle, okay? So it's not going to, like, weaken anything or anything like that, folks. It's just really for clearance. So sometimes things like that have to be done. So that's a pretty easy fix. We'll just have to take our time. You could probably even just enlarge the holes with a drill bit and get the same effect, honestly. We'll see what happens. I may end up doing that. I may just enlarge those in the drill press a little bit, because it doesn't need to go a long ways. We're talking maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So it's not too bad. That's going to work out well for sure. So I think we'll concentrate on that in the next part on this. I'll get everything glued up and get that all taken care of, and we'll concentrate on this plate, what we're going to do with that. I'll drill it out or whatever needs to be done. We'll put it back on and check the clearance and make sure you can get a string through there nice and easy. So I think for now what we'll do is take the fret rocker out and give this a good rockin' and see if there's any lifted frets or anything. Always make sure that the neck is straight when you do this stuff. Alright, let's rock. Got a high one right there. Yep. So the second fret's high. Got some funky stuff going on there as well. Wow. Mostly on the ends, from what I'm seeing right now. That one's a little rocky. So, yeah. We're probably going to do a level on this too. I did play it for a little bit. It played quite well, but I did hear a few buzzes here and there down in this area for sure. I could hear them, but I mean, surprisingly, they weren't that bad for as high as some of them were. The 11th fret on every guitar, It never fails. That one's always high. I don't know why, but it is. So it's good to go all the way across these when you do it. And just keep, only span 3. That's why there's all kinds of different lengths here. So as you get down there, you got to use the shorter side, okay? I mean, this is a straight machined edge, so if it does that kind of teeter-totter thing and makes that noise, now that's pretty substantial, actually. So, again, we're going to do a fret level on this one, too, and get that all cleaned up. That'll feel and play a lot better. Kind of a sharp corner on the nut there, I felt, when I was playing it as well. I'm going to just kind of round that off a little bit. But other than that, this is a pretty well-made instrument for sure. I mean, the fretwork's not bad. There's a few poking out. Again, we'll clean all that up. It's just, you know, it needs about another 10% to be mint. And, you know, everything's already there and in place. We'll make sure these are glued in if they're not, especially the ones that are lifting. The first thing I'll do is probably go down through there with a fret hammer and pound those down and just see if I can get some of that out of there. Okay, let's start right here. Now sometimes you can drive them right back down and they'll go in and stay. And sometimes they won't. Well, it did take a little bit out of the bass side here. Let's try that again. Get out on that edge. I didn't get it all. Still high in the middle. Sometimes they just won't do it. You know, the fret slot may not be cut deep enough. There's all kinds of reasons why. But it is good to do that and check that. Sometimes you can drive this side down and it pops that side up. So it's good to check across both ends just to make sure that the fret is seated in there well. You can use a fret press and CA glue as well to guarantee that it's in the slot and the barbs are doing their job and holding it in there. So it doesn't seem like it's rocking or loose. It seems to be okay. I just don't think it was leveled, or it may have, you know, moved a little bit out of the slot. So again, that's one way to try to get some of them down before you file any material off or sand anything off. Always do that. Sometimes, like I said, you can just drive them down in there and maybe touch them with a little shot of CA glue, and that'll save you from removing material. You don't want to remove any more of this than you need to. So, but there are cases where you got to do it just to make them all level and playable. These are pretty high too, so it's not going to be a big deal, and I'm not going to remove that much off them anyway. So it usually doesn't take a lot to level them. Make sure your neck's straight when you do it too. I do recommend getting a notch straight edge. I know a lot of guys just look down the neck and sight down it. I'm pretty good at it too. I've been doing it for 45 years now or whatever, but the notch straight edge does not lie. And as you get older, guess what? Your eyes aren't as good as they were when you was a teenager. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes, folks. So I'm noticing it now as I get older, and so I rely on the tools at times just to double check myself. Well, that's pretty much it for this one. I am going to do a part 2 on this, and I'm going to go through all the work, in real time, the frets, the bridge thing down there. I'm just getting going on it, and like I said, I'm shooting this basically in real time, so we're almost up to 25 minutes here. And it does take time. You have to take, a half hour or so sometimes, or maybe even longer with some instruments, just to diagnose what's going on and what you're looking at. So I got a pretty good grasp on what I need to do here. I'm going to be able to turn this thing 180 degrees, and I guarantee this will feel and play better than it did when it came in. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty close, and you know, I've seen worse. It just needs a little TLC, and this is a very nice instrument. I can't wait to play it and hear what these sound like too. I'm real curious about those Lindy Freeland P90s. Okay, well, thanks again, folks. I really do appreciate everybody chiming in the comment section, and all the new subscribers that have been showing up. Some of you people seem to find these videos helpful, and that really makes my day too. So stay in touch, stop by, check out my playlist. I got a lot of repair videos, guitar demos, amps, guitar lessons. You know, there's a lot of info on there. I've uploaded well over 500 videos in just a little over a year, so feel free to check that out. And you know, I don't ask people to like or subscribe or do any of that. That's totally up to you, and I appreciate it if you do. Thank you so much. We'll see you real soon. Be good. Okie doke.